My name is David Kelso. I am one of the sales engineers. I work with Rob, Terry, and Tim to help bring simplified solutions to your spaces. I also do the marketing coordination here at Arrow. Now, a few housekeeping things before we get started. This presentation is going to last about 20 minutes with a 5 to 10 minute Q&A at the end if you have any questions. Questions, please type them in the text chat if you're watching in person. Otherwise, if you're in the recording, you can always email questions to info@arrowavgroup.com. That will be in the description below. As well, to keep distractions to a minimum, I just ask that you remain muted and keep your camera off during the presentation. It is being recorded as well, and we will send out that link to the recording after the presentation is complete. Now, what are we actually talking about today? We are going to be looking at the Crestron Sightline experience. Some of the benefits that it might offer your organization, particularly if you're trying to do a hybrid work environment and you have some larger meeting spaces that you're trying to accomplish. We live in a data-driven world, so as we know, let's look at some data. Now, and we all know that the last 2 years have sort of turned the way that we work on its head. So the question is, especially in 2023, is the hybrid model going to be sticking around for workplaces? To jump the gun, the answer is yes. So let's break down the numbers. Crestron did a survey with Frost & Sullivan. They partnered with them. They've been in business for about 60 years. They're a research and consultancy firm, and they surveyed 1,500 IT decision makers globally in early 2022. And here's what they found. As more companies are moving towards the hybrid work model, they're going to find that they're reducing their real estate. They're going to optimize the spaces that they do have and trim the fat on spaces that they don't need. As they have a large workforce working remotely, they're going to have a lot of hybrid work, people that are moving in and out of the office as needed. So that's going to mean there's going to be a lot of hybrid meetings and ultimately more meeting spaces that are going to be required that are offering a hybrid solution for video conferencing. Now, what does that necessarily look like in 2022? All those IT professionals are looking at 84% are going to be supporting that. So maybe that number got higher now that we're in 2023, but it's only expected by 2024 that they're going to continue to invest in hybrid options for their workforces. Now, globally, the market has shifted in 2020. We saw those small spaces to keep people, less people in a room was really the focus. But overall, it's just going to continue to grow by 2027. The hybrid work model seems to be winning, and it's predicted to continue to be the dominant force within the work environment. And as we can see, it has continued to move away from those personal devices with professional pro-grade webcams that people would have on their desktops at home, moving over to that total room solution. And that's sort of what Sightline is, the next evolution of the room solution. I guess I'm a poet. This graph here just demonstrates that it's going to continue to penetrate into both of the business and the educational sectors as we become a video first kind of an environment. Now this one is rather surprising. They also asked those IT professionals what were their top 3 considerations with video conferencing. Pricing didn't make the top 2, not even top 3. Is reliability, ease of use, and security were the top 3, followed by price, 3% difference, so I guess it's not that far behind. Manageability, features, deployment, flexibility, scalability, and interoperability. So I'm curious, if you think that reliability is the number 1 reason for you, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know by typing in the chat, what is the number 1 consideration for video conferencing? For me, and for us at Arrow, our solutions are meant to be as simple as possible for you, and that's a really, really focus. Okay, thanks, Mike. Ease of use. Yeah, so that's even the operation side of things is really important for people being able to come in to the space and just use it without having to go through a bunch of training or anything else. It just feels, natural and easy to use. So now that we know now that we know that the stats are showing that the hybrid work model is sticking around, let's look at the next evolution of the large meeting space. So that is the Sightline experience from Crestron. Now, in this in the age of information that we're currently in, employees, they know more than ever before. LinkedIn, YouTube, and everywhere else, people are sharing their work experiences to no end, and everyone can know what a good hybrid experience feels like. With that as well, they can also contribute more to those meetings as well. But the question I have is, are we setting them up for successful meetings? Are those meetings actually engaging? Are they equitable? Does everyone get the same amount of real estate in the room, whether they're in person or coming in remotely? And are those meetings immersive? Those are the questions that we're looking to ask today. So for the small and medium rooms, we kind of have those problems solved. There's not as many people there to take up real estate, and you can have a small space that it works really well for those small types of meetings. We have the 180-degree camera, a single display camera on top. Everyone can be seen. Everyone gets the same amount of space. A couple other options are the AI digitally driven cameras for a gallery view. I've even seen, it's not on here, but the 360 view, so you can put a camera in the center of the table and see everyone there at the table. Now, when you start to go beyond 4 to 5 people, though, that's when we start to run into different issues with the traditional way of video conferencing. You start to have the bowling alley view, as we like to call it, where the person at the very end of the table is just this tiny little block on the remote participant's camera or a screen. And everyone else is talking to each other, so you're only getting a side view, or maybe if there's at the head of the table, you're just getting the back of someone's head and you're kind of left off to the corner. Now, and then on the far side of that, the digital cameras like the AI don't have the optical zoom to be able to see someone on the far end. So you're going to miss essential nonverbal cues in whether they're actually looking at you or not. It's going to be tough to distinguish who that person is if they're super far away, particularly when we get to those large board meetings. Now, we have sort of solved this solution from the 90s of having a dedicated video conferencing space, but with companies and organizations shifting their real estate and really trying to optimize those spaces, is that really a good use of that space? Can we make it as flexible as possible to make it an in-person meeting room and a hybrid meeting room in the same space? And that's where Sightline comes in. The whole goal of Sightline, as it's in the name, is to really maintain eye contact so that everyone in the room can be seen and heard, making conversations feel as natural as possible. And when you have a natural conversation, collaboration then comes out naturally, and you just have more productivity in your meetings. As they say, a better way of working is in sight. So what exactly is Crestron Sightline? Now, it's less of a list of or a bill of materials that is, this is the cookie cutter that we're putting in your space, and it's more of a design concept. The idea is to surround participants in technology. And like I said, the whole goal of that is for natural conversations so you can be more productive in your meetings and to make everyone feel seen and heard in those meetings. And so ultimately having better productivity. Now this was introduced last year in 2022 and had a lot to do with Crestron's acquisition of a really great automatic tracking camera called One Beyond. Their technology with AI and everything in the past year has made it exceptionally easy to make this design concept actually work. Because the biggest thing that this brings forth into it is the automation. with surrounding people in technology, you have multiple displays, multiple cameras, and if you have to manage all that while you're trying to conduct a meeting itself, you practically need to hire someone just to do that. We've been asked in the past if we want that sort of TV studio like quality of panning and zooming and shifting, but no one has the revenue or the budget to hire someone to do that for them. Now, this is all done by a computer, and it's pretty exceptional from what we've seen. So you can see an example here from the demo room that they set up at InfoComm in 2022. There's 4 cameras in the space, and they've got 4 displays, 5 displays, and multiple points of control throughout it. Now, you can see here that they are fully surrounded by the technology here. People on one side of the table have TVs to look over on the other side. People on the other side of the table have TVs on that side. And there's cameras available there too to maintain those sight lines for people. And that ultimately brings true meeting equity to the space when remote participants are no longer locked into those tiny little squares on their screen. They can be free to fill up the whole space. And maybe it feels like they're just standing behind the people that are seated at the table with you, but they're more likely to contribute and engage when they feel like they're being seen and heard in that space. It feels like a natural conversation. So like I was saying, that was really accomplished by the voice tracking from multiple camera technologies from the Automate VX solution. So you're maintaining eye contact with the people in the room, and they're doing the same with you. Here's an example of what that looks like, and we get a little bit better of a setting shot on what that space is here. So you can see it's a really long table that fits about 10 people or so. And you can see that they get composited all together, and so that gets onto your screen, and that's all done automatically for you. You can see a couple of whiteboards in the background as well. Those can be integrated if people really like to have their, the scratch and sniff whiteboard markers. Those can be integrated digitally to have their own screen, to share that screen on there, so it's not just, you're not just locked to the laptop as well. It really can open up what a meeting space, a hybrid meeting space can be. Now for the in-room participants, that's where those multiple monitors come into play. They can see the nonverbal cues of people that are on the other side, moving beyond this tiny square and bringing it up to, a full size almost for someone, depending on the size of the display that you're putting in the space. And, when we can cut down on all of our expenses and, find talent from across the globe, but you need to be able to have the solutions in place that can offer them great meetings to have a great collaboration. Now, and that all can be automated and built into Crestron's legacy of control and AV products. And with Arrow's expertise, we're able to, provide you a fully integrated room solution. You want to be able to walk into the room and it automatically turns on? We can make that happen. You want to be able to touch a button or remotely control the entire room from your phone? We can do that too. Integrate it with your scheduling system so that people can see whether or not a room is in use. The list goes on for what can be done. And so at the core of it, the Crestron Sightline is that allows integrators to use their expertise to listen to your needs and provide you a solution that can meet your hybrid standards for your company. So overall, Crestron's goal with Sightline is to make those conversations feel more natural, particularly in those larger spaces. So I know we're coming up a little bit shorter on our meeting. I think I blasted through those slides a little bit faster than I thought I could. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, or if you're watching the recording, you can email info@arrowavgroup.com. While we're waiting to see if any questions come in, I do want to invite anyone that wants to take a Sightline room for a test drive. you can get a free virtual demo with us. We are partnered with Crestron, and we can just takes about 2 weeks to get that coordinated to make sure the room is free. It comes, I believe there's one in Chicago and New Jersey, and we just need to make sure that we can get a few people in there so you can really see how natural those conversations can feel with people when you're a remote participant and with the people in the room. Doesn't look like we have any questions coming in, which means I apparently did a great job with all of my slides. But we just want to thank everyone for, whether you're coming in here today watching live or you're watching the recorded. Thank you so much for joining us today. And just want to let you know that Aero AV Group, we are a custom audiovisual integrator. We provide room solutions that drive your success. So if you are looking to really tackle the hybrid workspace for your business within the coming year, reach out to us. We're happy to have a conversation and listen to what you really need. And maybe 5 displays on a room is overkill. We're happy to provide a solution that works for you, works for your budget, and works for your company. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.